In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the operator Warden and why barely anyone uses him. Now, when I say no one plays him, there are obviously a few people who do use Warden as a guarantee, therefore that is what I'm mentioning here. To any Warden mains out there, don't take this too personally. Warden released back in 2019 with Operation Phantom Sight. He also came along with his counterpart, Knock. Warden is a 2-speed and 2-armor defender, and when he was added into the game, his playstyle was a little bit unknown. His ability was primarily focused on anchoring, yet he was a 2-speed and 2-armor defender. His general kit bringing the MPX didn't really feel like he suited that anchor role. He practically was a 2-armor anchor with a P-shooter of a weapon added to defense. However, when first added into the game, the thought of an operator being able to remove themselves from the vulnerability of the flashbangs and smoke grenades sounded really useful. And who knows, maybe this Ned Flanders lookalike could have become the next Jaeger. The struggle is with a lot of anchors like Rook, Doc, Maestro. Not only do they bring a fantastic ability, their weapons and their general armor is helping them out. And Warden is completely pointless as a roamer, whereas an operator like Valkyrie would be great as roaming, who is also a 2-speed defender. His general kit when added into the game just didn't really suit that playstyle of an anchor, and his ability does not match a roaming purpose at all. When you take a look at some of the anchors we have in Siege, such as Doc, Echo, Rook, Mirror, Maestro, Tachanka would also be there too. They're all known as a 3-armor operator, and the majority of their weapons, the Vector, the Alder, Echo's weapon, are all fantastic for anchoring. While his loadout doesn't suit the kit of an anchor, he can also roam, or can he? When you compare him to operators such as Valkyrie, Alibi, Legion, and those are just to name a few, those operators can definitely anchor in some situations, but they can also roam because their ability suits it. Legion has goo mines, which are great for intel for roaming. Valkyrie has cameras, which is fantastic for assisting the roam, and Alibi has a ton of intel from her prismas. Warden doesn't really have that. He has an ability that can make him immune to flashbangs and smoke grenades, which when roaming is practically useless as you're never really going to have that situation come up. It doesn't help you out in the roaming when it actually happens. It's a very rare circumstance that it will. It isn't the most useful tip. An anchor's role should be to lock down the site, hold it for their team, cover the angles, which Warden's ability does help out with. It's just the fact that you're quite literally standing there with a pair of goggles that barely even work to their full extent, and a P-shooter of a weapon being the MPX. And he also runs like this? Yeah, bit weird. Now the main fact here is that Warden's ability is very inconsistent, and this is his ultimate downfall. If you bring an operator like Jaeger on your team, a Thermite, an Ace, you know what you're going to get with them. You know that Jaeger's bringing those 3 ADSs to place down. You know Legion's going to have the goo mines. You know Melusi's going to be able to place down her Banshees. It is a guarantee that you will get X amount of that ability, which is great because you're not relying on chance or the skill of that player to pull it off, which is what also makes them fantastic solo queue operators. You know what you're getting with them, you know what you can bring, and you can know what you can do with them. And overall, that is what leads to an operator being highly picked. An operator that you can continuously use over and over again because you know what you're getting with them and you know how to use them. Now, if we take a look at the win delta per operator for Warden specifically compared to the other operators, as you can see, it is lurking around the mid area. He is just in underpicked or too weak, which might seem a little surprising to you. It did to me. However, you've got to remember that this is for Platinum and above. If it was to show for the lower ranks, I can only imagine it would skyrocket down into the negatives. And this is because when you pick Warden, you rely on chance, you rely on luck, and you rely on for your own use of the ability. His ability is very inconsistent. You don't get many uses out of it because it's very rare that it will actually happen and you'll be able to flick it on in time. Getting a good use of his ability is a very rare circumstance. It is also very easy to avoid a flashbang naturally without having to pick Warden. So does that opportunity cost factor in and allow you to gain the benefit of picking Warden when you can avoid it that easily? The reason why his pick rate and his win rate looks around below average is because you're using high skill players. A higher skill player is going to get more use out of Warden than a lower skill player, because they know how to use him and his ability in the situations that it's going to come into play. Which is why you can be successful with Warden if you are a one-trick pony and continue to use him. The fact is he's very inconsistent naturally, so it's quite hard to get good use out of an operator like that. Whereas with Jaeger, if you place your ADSs down and you die of spawn, it doesn't really matter too much, because you have already used up your ability and your utility. The main benefit of Warden is your ability to see through smokes. And when you think about the chance of you actually being alive in the round when those smokes go down, let alone the amount of operators that have access to them and will be able to get them down themselves before they die, it is very, very low. And if that does happen, the chances are already very, very low. You might, maybe get one kill from it, or they might even not push through it or go for a plant with it. Then it gets even worse for Warden, as you have to be immobile, standing still, for you to see through that smoke. The same also applies to any flashbangs you may encounter, which means you can't run away or hold an angle moving whilst you are getting a flashbang, activating your ability. You actually have to stand still. The main problem with Warden is mainly down to his ability and the fact that it is naturally very inconsistent, but then also the other factor that you have to rely on the player. And relying on a player to get value out of an operator on your team, whether you're solo queue or 5 stacking, is a very, very hard thing to do. Which is why operators who bring utility or something they can use straight away is very, very useful to have, like a Maestro, an Aruni, a Legion, a Jaeger. Those operators are highly picked because of their ability. For example, Rook, all you have to do is place his armor down and you've got your use out of him. With Warden, you have to wait later into the round to actually pick up something with him, and let alone, you might even get one kill from it or nothing at all. And the other big factor is, it often happens in the late round. Your flashbangs might get used early on or mid round, but the smokes are going to come down late round, which means you have to rely on a player to get use out of it when it actually gets to that late round, but you also have to wait and survive until then. And surviving with the MPX on your side is a very, very hard task to do when you're a 2-speed and 2-armor operator. Warden is a really, really lackluster operator, and his ability just does not work in Siege. Now, you could change his kit, adding a smoke grenade on defense there, or you could simply make him be able to be mobile and moving around whilst his ability is activated. Really, that doesn't solve the problem. The fact is, you just don't get enough use out of his ability to justify having that lackluster loadout and general operator choice. He doesn't help the team out, and he rarely even helps you out in a lot of situations. There are a few minor buffs that they can give to him in order to wrap a band-aid around the problem as of right now. However, a bigger change is needed to solve it. You could give him smoke grenades, or you could make him mobile while moving. Or maybe even make his ability last for longer, because it doesn't last for too long anyways. Or simply deactivating the ability, the cooldown is a little bit shorter. There are a few tweaks and changes that you can do in the meantime. However, I don't have a permanent solution for him, which is why I want your thoughts down below in the comments. Let me know how you would change Warden. A massive thank you to the Patrons for your support. If you want to become one, there's a link down below into the description. And thank you for watching. Be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you did enjoy, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.